Hey guys, Preston here and welcome back to another video. I know it's been a long time, but today we are doing the post-game reaction for Notre Dame's 31-13 victory over the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Oh, it's 5 a.m. when I'm recording this and I haven't slept yet, so forgive any lapses in judgment or breakdown of this, but we're going to kind of just talk about the game like we normally do. I'll probably give an offensive player of the game and a defensive player of the game like always. You ever see me looking above the camera? It's because that's where I got the stats pulled up. My super official setup of having the phone recording on top of the laptop. I'm looking for stats on, so we'll go with that. The game started slow for Notre Dame again, which is something that continues to happen for this team. I'd say. I think we've all noticed. I might have saw a stat on Twitter earlier today that was like it's like 4 games in a row where the opposing team scores first against us. Luckily, everything post Northern Illinois has still worked out for us. So that part you can live with, but the slow starts are getting annoying. And like I've said to other fans out there, it's like eventually these slow starts can bite you in the butt. My biggest worry would be like even next week when we play Navy, Navy and Army. Actually, we have to play them both, of course. But possession's their game. They hold on to that ball. They chew as much clock as possible. So your offense only gets a few possessions. They're definitely normally you would say they get less possessions than what they'd probably be used to, which means you really have to capitalize on the possessions you have. So I will say these slow starts worry me a bit in that aspect, considering the schedule's not, in terms of strength of schedule remaining, it's not the toughest thing in the world. But I would be a little worried about slow starts against the service academies. And then obviously a potential playoff game, you got to be on your game at all moments. You can't afford to just give up free touchdowns at the beginning of each game. But after that first quarter, it turned around. We outscored them 21-0 in the second and third, and then still outscored them in the fourth 10-6. But a lot of I think their six was garbage time at the end, and a failed 2-point or a missed field. Honestly, I can't remember. There was blocked kicks this game. I just can't remember which ones. So getting into the offense a bit, like I said, that slow start was still there. They moved the ball well in the second for sure, and a little in the third, but then they kind of did that thing they always do where the foot was kind of going off the gas. I really don't know what to think of it because the coaching staff, or at least maybe Freeman, was aggressive still. That was a point I've seen too. Where it's like we went for fake field goals, we went for it on fourth downs, we were trying to extend drives and keep giving this offense a chance, but they just could not do anything with it. I don't think we scored a touchdown off either of the 2 interceptions we had. We'll talk about later. And extending those drives didn't lead to points either. So it's like, this offense just still leaves a lot to be desired. I think they're kind of leaning into more of what they are, and I think what they know they are. I think just part of the reality we have to accept is that, this is an O-line with 3 people starting who we didn't think, that Notre Dame didn't have as starters before the season started. So, not to mention that some of the guys they did have starting are still inexperienced. So I think we just have to accept reality that this O-line is definitely not what we had last year, what we've been used to the last few years. So we got to do things a little differently. It leaves me more optimistic about the future, I'd say. But for this year, I think we need to. It's kind of just acceptance point on what this offense is. Gets the job done, but really is unlikely to win you football games, but hopefully, I guess you never know. We'll see. The point is we need to keep winning to even find out what this team is made of, you know what I mean? So, Riley Leonard went 20 of 29 for 203 yards and a pick. The pick was rough. There's no excuse. I got Vietnam flashbacks to Northern Illinois when it was a long ball that he overthrew leading to a pick. Last time it cost us the game. This time it did not. It did, however, eventually cost us that first touchdown of the game. So the slow starts aren't just a defensive thing. The offense starts slow, and it normally involves a turnover. Like Louisville, all 3 phases started bad. In this game, it was just offense and the defense, but still not ideal. But like I said, he started to find his groove. Decent numbers, kind of dinking and dunking. The ball was spread out a lot today. I would say. If we go to receiving first, what was it? I think it's 9. Sorry, what are we counting up? I think 9 people had targets today. Your usual suspects were the most targeted, with Bo Collins having the most, and then Jordan not Jordan. Good grief. Yeah, Jordan Love, Packers quarterback. Jeremiah Love was involved in the receiving game. He had 3 catches for 57 yards. We got a little creative with some of that stuff, like the trick play was really well executed. I think there was another reverse later that would have been well executed without a hold from a true freshman left tackle. You got to live with some of that. Just to keep things in order, because I ramble like I was, but we'll go with the running game. We finished with 168 rushing yards a day, so not bad. I still feel we could have done better, but that's kind of nitpicking. And I'm just used to us putting up like 200 with the style of offense we run. Either way, Jadarian Price was the best of the bunch today, you'd say. Very efficient with 8 carries for 69 yards. That's an average of 8.6, although one of them was a long of 23. Riley Leonard ran, of course, because that's what he does for the most part. He ran 10 times for 51 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that's a lot. Is it all? Pretty much all the scoring. No, literally all of the offensive scoring was done through the ground game, which, like I said, it's 8 weeks in. You're not surprised by this anymore. So 2 touchdowns running by Leonard and 1 touchdown running by Jeremiah Love, who the run game just wasn't there for him today. I assume it's just, our O-line was not winning enough battles even in the run game, but also Georgia Tech knew what I feel like they knew the general game plan, so they were really fighting the run. Their choices, like, let's not let them beat us in the run game. And to an extent it worked. We still finished with 168 rushing yards, and we kind of dink and dunked our way passing down to the end zone, but was still able to punch it in through running the ball, like I said. So kind of a balance there. Still worked out in the end, but you'd like to see better than 2.6 yards per carry, of course. But, obviously I'm not I'm not going to come for Jeremiah Love. We all know how good of a player he is. Not to mention he has 57 passing yards, like I said, to go along with those 36 rushes. Devin Ford got 2 carries for some reason, because it's just what we do. I don't get it. I like the kid, and he's tough, but there's just more talented running backs. Like Aeneas Williams, I'd rather have seen him get 4 carries instead of 2 we got there. Both same stat line, 2 carries, 5 yards, so nothing crazy. They pretty much only got the ball when Georgia Tech knew we were definitely handing it off, not just had a strong feeling, but like it was 100% we were handing that ball off. And then Tyler Buckner, shout out. We forgot about that's more on special teams, but on that fake kick, a lot of people thought it was a regular holder, Matt Salerno. Ended up being Tyler Buckner. They wear the same number. Nice little trickery there, and Tyler did get it done. So it was close, but he got it done. Receiving, like I said, no one goes off. It's not in the nature of this offense, but we did finish with more receiving yards than rushing yards, which is, for Notre Dame, that's pretty good. So 57 yards for Jay Love on 3 catches. Bo Collins had 51 yards on his 5 catches, averaging 10 yards per catch, so that's not bad. Great House, 3 for 43. It was nice to see him again. Kind of got reminded of him being out there. Not quite what he flashed a little bit last year, I thought, but like I said, these offenses are different. These O-lines are way different. Just, there's a lot of stuff different. So he's still, just a sophomore, so he has time. Mitchell Evans was involved today, so that's something we haven't seen in a while. It's been a weird year for that. You're a Notre Dame fan, or even people with just casual knowledge of Notre Dame. You would assume the tight ends would be heavily involved in the offense, because that's basically what we've done for the past. First, there's a long history of tight ends at Notre Dame, so it's beyond that. But definitely the last few years felt like very tight end heavy, to the point where sometimes we were like, why is it only tight ends who can get the ball in the passing game? But then this year it's been, if it's going to anyone, it's going to the running backs or Bo Collins. So it's like, it's weird to see your tight ends disappear, especially when one is talented as Mitchell Evans. So it's nice to see him involved again. Hopefully that's a trend that continues, because it would be very valuable for this offense if they could start getting tight ends involved too, because it's just bad coaching, I feel like, to leave one of your best offensive players just useless. You got to get that guy involved. He's good. There's a lot of hype for him coming into this season. I'm not saying he's like the best tight end in the country or anything, but he could definitely be our best pass catcher pretty quickly, I feel like. I'm not going to lie there. Chris Mitchell had 1 catch for 14 yards. Aeneas got a catch for 10 yards. Another tight end, Raritan, catch 9. JT a catch for 8. Jaden Harrison 2 for -1. So he had a screenplay gone wrong or something, But yeah, not bad. just same things. It's tough to know who's at fault for any of this anymore. So I'm trying not to get too angry at any specific person. Like, is it Leonard not making reads right, or just not changing the playbook to fit him, which means they're sacrificing the pass game? Is it the pass catchers are just either not developed enough yet or not good enough yet? Although all the ones we named are pretty much experienced guys, so you'd hope they'd be good enough. Or is it the O-line, which they have to compensate for? Or is it play calling being ultra-conservative for no reason? It's just a mess. Sometimes that's what happens if your offense... When you have the offensive rankings that Notre Dame has right now, it's definitely more than just one problem. So I'm not going to pick on specific people in this instance. Because really, honestly, even with... There's 31 points. So granted, 7 of those came from the defense, which we'll get to. But I still don't want to... there wasn't like super notable bad play, I'd say. Knapp, this freshman left tackle, did make some mistakes. But like I said, I don't know why I'm a little more zen about Notre Dame this year. Maybe it's just because we got the horrible, painful loss out of the way early in the season, and now the expectations are like you've kind of accepted the reality of the team this year. But I mean, Knapp is a true freshman who wasn't even supposed to be starting. Like he lost that job to another freshman. So like, although maybe Knapp is I think he's a true freshman. He could be a redshirt freshman. Either way, he hasn't played college football before, so I'm trying to be more lenient. Hopefully they'll continue to get better, but who knows? Like I said, he wasn't even supposed to be the starter, so there's a chance he was never. I don't want to. Now it sounds like I'm actually being mean, but there's a chance he was never meant to be the starter at Notre Dame, or at least not till like super down the line, So, anyways, yeah. So the offense is just the offense. I feel like there's never much to say. They didn't make a ton of mistakes today, minus that one pick. So it's passing. It's like a C. It's always like a C for this offense. I feel like that Stanford game was like an A or a B. They came a little bit more back down to earth today. To be fair, Georgia Tech is a better team than Stanford. Not that that's saying much, but So hopefully we just keep this momentum going. Anyways, defensive time. Oh, offensive player of the game is a tough one. But Jeremiah Love was the only guy on offense who's close to like 100 yards total. I feel like his run game wasn't there. See, it's just hard. I just don't love the offense. Man, I'm super just not into this offense. I think I'm going to pick Riley Leonard, which not everyone will love, and I get it. It's the reality though. I think part of the problem is we keep taking transfers who only get 1 year here with this team. I think the trend you've seen with a lot of the super good transfer quarterbacks is it's not their first year with a team when they start going off like that. Like Joe Burrow is the perfect example I think people point to. But, Or even, I think Jaden Daniels was there 2 years, wasn't he? Maybe wrong. I think he was. See, now I'm pausing it really. But anyways, I think he did good enough today. He had the one bad mistake, but then he really got into his groove, and he was spreading the ball out, finding his targets, moving the ball down the field really well in that second and that third quarter. And like I said, limited the mistakes after the beginning one. So I thought he did really good. Well, he did good enough today, so that's why he'll get my offensive player of the game. And like it's just a problem where no one is like completely dominating. At first I was going to say Love, like I said, but then, the run, he just could not, the running game really wasn't there for him today. So it's like, I don't know if I can just give the trickery or some of the catches the whole majority. Obviously, I mean, he's still debatably our best offensive player, so I'm not disparaging him in any way before anyone gets mad about that. But defensively, this is a depleted defense, but they're still getting the job done, man. I mean, this coaching staff knows how to coach defense. And the DC Al Golden is, Freeman said it in his post-game press conference, he's just really good at making adjustments and he gets stuff going. Today, he didn't even need halftime to do it because after that first bad touchdown, it was locked down until a garbage time touchdown at the end of the game. So, this defense is still just doing what it does, winning games for this football team. And it's just fun. I think this is what I take away from this season. Is just like it's just fun to get to enjoy this defense and to know that a lot of the talent on this defense is coming back next year, and some of them are even can be here even longer than that. So just some of the stats in case you wanted to know. Pure tackles, Drake Bowen led the way today with 9. True freshman Leonard Moore making his first, I think it's his first official start, maybe a second. I think he started the Louisville game already, but I can't remember if that was he had to jump in the middle of the game or if he was new ahead of time. Either way, obviously he's starting now because of the unfortunate Benjamin Morrison injury news we all know about by now. So he had 7 tackles and 2 pass deflections. Bowen had a pass deflection too. Rod Hurd, a kid we really don't hear a lot about. He's not super flashy, but from what I know, he's been doing his job in this defense, grinding away. Honestly, I don't think there's a bad player on this defense. So it's even the kids you don't hear much about are still doing their job when they're called upon, and I think that's what's great about this defense. Osbury had even 5 tackles in a TFL, getting in there. Kaiser, who looked good today too, with 5 tackles. Xavier Watts doing what he does, 4 tackles and a pick, which basically really helped seal the game, but granted it's kind of sealed already at that point. Riley Mills and Cross are starting to look more like we thought they would be when the season started. They both made plays today. Cross was a disruptor, Mills was a disruptor, and Mills even got a sack and a half to go along with that. So shout out to both of them they've really picked it up the last few weeks and played like what we thought they would. And that's huge for this team because with the injuries we've had, especially as the edge rushers, just getting pressure home through the middle is huge. Even if we were fully healthy, that'd be huge. So it's nice to see some of the older guys playing well to match how a lot of the younger guys, your Bowens, your Moores, your Osberries, your Grays, your Alex, a lot of young guys on this team still. True sophomore Adon Schuler had a good game too, 3 tackles and the pick 6, which is that defensive touchdown I talked about earlier. That was a beautiful play to watch. Just an overthrow by Georgia Tech, and he was ready. He sniffed it out. Was right there to collect it and made a play out of it. So it's huge, man. Those are big plays. When your defense is your best unit, anytime they can add points, it just makes it even better. And I'm sure they pride themselves on how good they are, and so scoring's probably even sweeter. Christian Gray, great again. Only 2 tackles, but for the most part, he just does his job, and that job is to blanket whoever he is covering. His hands are still not there. I'm a Steelers fan, so I'd compare him to Ike Taylor's, who I watched a lot of growing up, and we would always call him Stone Hands because some guys are corners for a reason. The whole trope is receivers who can't catch become corners, but Gray's a great corner. The man just, if he could catch a little better, he could lead the country in picks. It feels like there's at least 4 or 5 I can think of that could have been picks if he held on to the ball. And some of them were harder to catch than others, but a lot of them were catchable. So it's more nitpicky, because we're still winning these games. But at some point, you might need a pick. But I'm not going to blame Gray in any way because that dude is, with Morrison out, he's definitely our best corner. But some people would probably make the argument that he was playing as our best corner the whole season, even when Morrison was in those games, which is not disparaging on Morrison either. They're both just very good at what they do. Kennedy Urlacher, another true freshman, 2 tackles. He's flashed some moments throughout the season. He'll be fun to see more of next year. Jalen Sneed getting involved again more, the former 5-star. Had 2 tackles and got the half a sack to go along with that half of Riley Mills from earlier. Kingston Ziliambu Asa made plays today too. It says only 2 tackles, but I feel like I noticed more than that. But anyway, the young linebackers were great today. Let me just say that real quick as a shout out. The people in the middle, not just the young guys, because Kaiser was great too, but Kaiser, Bowen, and Asa just felt like they were always making plays during this game, always in the right spots. One play I remember pretty well was they were throwing to someone in the middle of the field, and it was either Kaiser and Asa or Bowen and Asa, 2 of them at the same time cracked into the receiver, caused him to drop the ball, not catch it. And that dude got lit up. It's a hard hit. So I just remembered that. I was like, yeah, see, your linebackers are doing their job when they're both there at the right moment. Normally it'd be one of them, but they were both right where they needed to be to break that play up. So shout out to them. RJ Oben was good today. only chose one tackle, but he was more noticeable than usual. I'd say it's been a pretty quiet year for the transfer. You thought maybe you'd see some more production in terms of sacks from him. It just hasn't been there. But hopefully we kind of see him start getting into the groove too, like Cross and Mills have. Jordan Clark, another guy who's quiet, but he does his job. He fills gaps. He's pretty good in run defense today. Only a tackle listed, though. Rubio tackle. A lot of these rest of these guys are only one tackle, so not much to say for them. But they did hold this Georgia Tech rushing offense to 64 yards, which is, this is a team that's been running for over 100. It's like 150 a game the past 2 games, possibly even in the 200s if I remember right. So like, to me, is an impressive performance in terms of run defense. Maybe not as great through the air, giving up 269, but in terms of points, you were still perfect on the day. Well, not perfect, it wasn't a shutout, but you know what I mean. Like, they shut them out for the second and third quarter, and then they touched them in the fourth was what you'd probably call garbage time, and even then, we made Georgia Tech earn it because their quarterback was getting hit every pass of that drive. I know that guy is going to be sore tomorrow, or today, since I'm filming this on Sunday. So it's tough for defensive player of the game, if I'm being honest. I think it's tough to leave out Shore with a pick 6 or Watts who got yet another pick. I think he probably leads the team. But I'm going to go with Drake Bowen because I think this might have been his best game for Notre Dame. Like, he's been improving steadily. Kid from Indiana, highly ranked prospect in the past. But, man, he just had a great game. Like I said, that whole middle linebacker room is really who it kind of goes to. But I'm just picking Bowen specifically just because he led the team in tackles. So I was like, I'll give it to him. But that, I really liked what I saw from those linebackers today. You know, a lot of the talk about this defense is that corner room, and rightfully so. But with injuries and a lot of stuff, it helps when the other units step up too. And it's also just bright for the future when Bowen and Kingston play as good as they do, because you know they both have several years of eligibility left. So it just a lot of exciting young players on defense, and the vets are really starting to pick it up too. So that's the part of the ball I'm very confident in still, which I assume most of you are too if you're Notre Dame fans. But if you're not, that's what you need to know. Very, very good defense still, and an offense that's okay and has limitations, but is starting to improve and kind of know it's like, I feel like once you know your limitations, you can start to scheme a little better at them, and so hopefully that's what we continue to see happen. In terms of kicks, the punter was, only had to punt twice, but they weren't the best. 37.5 average again. I just, nothing against the kid, but it's just weird that the only punter a program like Notre Dame could land was a guy with 0 punting experience. I'm unsure of that move. And then Zach Yoakum was still filling in for Mitch Jeter. Went 1 for 2 on field goals. Though I swear someone else filled in. Maybe I'm wrong. But either way, he did make 1 from 42, so shout out him. Another kick was missed from 46, but, I guess I couldn't expect too much when you're using a guy who didn't win your kicking job. And Jeter's a very good kicker, in my opinion, and hopefully he'll be back for the Navy game. But this is just another week where it didn't ultimately hurt us, just some style points in terms of could have been 34-13, I guess, instead. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to go in hard on a backup kicker missing a 46-yarder. It wasn't exactly a cheap shot in terms, especially for college kickers, So overall, another solid performance by Notre Dame. I can't say I left this one as enthusiastic or as fun as watching them beat up on Stanford the way they did, because I thought the offense actually really moved well that game too, and wasn't just running the ball. Like, to me, because Purdue was a similar game to Stanford where you won big, but I don't know why, just the offense felt better against Stanford than it did against Purdue, if that makes sense to any of you. So yeah, Leonard and Bowen were my players of the game. I thought it just felt like a Notre Dame performance for this season, but there was optimism for the future still, and technically even this season. The season's not over yet. I know a lot of us are kind of just going with the flow, kind of mad with the team right now, but I want to give them, I'm not going to get mad at them. I'm going to be patient, give them any chance to prove me wrong or show a lot of improvement come playoff time if we can make it. Making it's important, though, so stacking wins, always a good thing, and I'll take a 31-13 win right now. And this defense is just... Honestly, there's been a lot of adversity this Notre Dame team has had to face this year. So I'm proud. It's just, yeah. The Northern Illinois win was preventable. Loss was preventable even with the way the team's been playing. So that's just... Sometimes a season has a loss that just lingers over you for a while and you have to deal with it. And we can't get that taste out of our mouths till next year, or we do something good in the playoffs. But only time will tell, right? So this is Candy Present once again. Thanks again for watching. Comment anything you want to talk about, college football wise, any sport wise. Notre Dame works too. I'm losing my mind apparently because I'm sleep deprived. But I'll respond to any comments if there ever are any. And please like this video, share it to any Notre Dame fans you have so we can keep kind of discussion going. I'll work on posting post games for Notre Dame again and maybe some previews when I get the chance. And then I will probably post post-game reviews for the Pittsburgh Steelers as well, in case any of you happen to be Steelers fans watching this. I'm not sure how many Irish Steelers fans are out there, but they're both pretty big fan bases, so I'd assume there's at least some. If you are, let me know. That'd be cool too. Anyways, guys, once again, this is KMA Sports signing out. See you later.